welcome to the Circle of Heka. I'm Lady Amaris. So I think I'm going to coin this the driving series, because it seems like lately all I've had time to do is to put the camera on in the car and have a little bit of a chat. So hopefully it's not too boring, or you don't feel a little bit sick while you're trying to see what's happening in the window as I'm whizzing past things. Okay, so finding a goddess and god to work with. Now this question came up recently because some of the people that I'm teaching, we're going through a stage where it's having a look at what deity you would like to work with, finding deity to work with, whether it's a goddess or whether it's a god or whether it's both, the male and the female energies. And a few people were a little bit worried that they couldn't find someone that it was like it was a deadline, and by the next time that we met they would have had to have had a working relationship with a goddess and god, and they were just like, where do I go? What do I do? How do I know if someone actually, if I resonate with them, or whether I want them or not, I want to work with them or not? And it was just it just became a big stress, and it shouldn't be that. It should be something that is organic and just happens. And if you don't have you call a matron or a patron goddess straight away, then don't worry. It will happen when it happens. It's like they say with dating. You're not going to find the love of your life straight away. Not that I'm saying some people do. There's always exceptions to the rule, but you're not going to find that one straight away. The minute you say, all right, I'm gonna start looking, then the one just pops into your life. It doesn't usually happen that way. And it's the same with deity, with what you're going to work with. You can't expect deity to just go, all right, well, you've put the flag up now, so it's all right for me to drop on in, because you probably find that deity's been talking to you, or the goddess or god, or both of them, that you should be or probably should be working with, has been talking to you for a while. It's just that you've been yakking too much, or a little bit too blind to actually see some of the signs. So you have to remember that for the most part, deity speaks in whispers. It speaks in signs and symbols, and unless you've become attuned to those signs and symbols, so when you've worked with a deity for a while, you become quite attuned to their symbols. You know when they're saying, well, you should be going this way or that way, or I'm not too happy with the fact that you're not actually fulfilling your commitments, whatever. You start to understand and see and read those signs quite readily. It's a little bit like learning a language. When you first learn a language, it's a little hard. You're a little like, what's going on? You don't quite understand it. But after a while, when you're continually conversing in that language, you become more proficient in it. And so that's what happens in the language of the gods, the language of whatever deity that you're speaking to, or you're working with. So a lot of the times you will find that deity has been speaking to you, the actual deity that you should be working with, or at that time has been giving you signs. You just haven't been able to understand the language quite yet. So that's why it's always good just to relax and not not go actively out and trying to grab and seek and find a goddess and a god because you've been told that you must find one, or you've looked at YouTube and everyone has a sexy matron and patron that they're talking about, and it's like, oh well, I've got to have one too because I'm not a real witch if I don't have one, which I think is silly, and is something that's been propagated a lot. If you don't have a working deity that you work with, or then you're not committed enough. But when you're starting out, sorry about that. When you're starting out, it just means that it's going to take a little while. Let's see if I can go looking at. It just means it's going to take a little while, and you need to kind of go through the process. So, I suggest sometimes doing a bit of research and just looking at kind of maybe start with some of the popular goddesses and gods, and just have a look at those and see how they go, whether they say resonate with you. But as I said, the deity speaks in whispers and symbols and a little bit cryptically sometimes, and you may have a dream where a goddess and god come to you. You may have it may be researching different goddesses and gods, and then it'll take you onto another avenue, and the goddess and god that you resonate with is suddenly there, and you're like, yeah, that's it, that's who I've got to work with. Or it could be that you're watching a movie, or watching television, which I don't recommend. But if you're watching, some form of media, and consistently the same name keeps coming up, then I would say let's start working with that person, because it could be that deity is speaking to you by giving you the same name. So like Diana, wherever you go, it's like you reading a book and the protagonist's name is Diana, or you watching a TV show and one of the characters is named Diana. It's that consistent thing. It's not like just you like a name and let's go. It's consistent over and over again. The same name pops up. Different signs for that, different symbols for a goddess may pop up. If you're working with the Morrigan, lots of crow symbols will come up, lots of raven symbols will come up, so it's just a matter of quietening your mind, relaxing, and just having a look around. And when they say when you're in love, you know you're in love. When you know it's right, it's right. So it would be just testing it out and having a look. And sometimes it might take you working with a goddess and god that you think you might be aligned with, and then going, nah, it's not working, is it? And then you move on to maybe someone else. So there will be that transition time. It's almost like dating, and until you find something that's right for you, and then you can focus fully on that. I wouldn't get caught up in a lot of. Sometimes I find that ego gets in the way of a lot of people when they're talking to someone else who may be starting out, and on how they found their goddess, or how they came into the craft, or how anything kind of magical or mystical happened. The goddess literally got up out of a statue and talked to them, or just these. It's almost Hollywood type things that have happened to someone to say, yes, I am your goddess and I will be working with you. And again, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. There are the rare breed that are very connected, at a very early stage, or if you've been brought up in a family that has a very close connection to deity, then I would say that would be something that isn't uncommon. But to base your fact on whether you should be connecting or working with a deity and waiting for the thunderbolt to come down and them to stand there in all their glory and say, yes, I must work with you, you're going to be waiting a long time. That relationship needs to be forged, and it'll take a little while for most of you. And as I said, it's a little bit like dating. You will try someone out, try a deity out, and then you will save that. Because you don't really want to look at my neck. That's probably better. So it's trying a deity out and trying them on for size, having a date. It sounds like a little bit degrading, but not really. If you're doing it with reverence and you're trying to forge a communication, it's like coming in and talking to someone who you think that you might want to be friends with. It's not something that you do as an affront to the gods. You are trying to get in touch and get to know them. But if it doesn't work out, then I wouldn't be too worried, and I would give it a good amount of time as well. I wouldn't go, oh, it's not working. It's been a week. It's not working. Not feeling it. Let's go and move on to the next one. You don't want to be seen as promiscuous with the gods, if you want to call it that. Going around to the next flavour of the month. You want to give it a good amount of time. Okay, what else? I would not be too worried about people telling you that you want to work with a certain deity, and that what you're putting on your altar to that deity is wrong because they've worked with said deity for years and you never do this and this. I think, as I said in a previous video, it's your connection. What your connection is going to be different to someone else's connection. So as long as you've done your homework, so to speak, and you've forged that connection, if doing certain things a certain way pleases or feels right, then do it. There are many facets to deity, and saying that there is only one way of viewing deity is a bit short-sighted. Also, there are specific deities that are usually in like the Wiccan community or whatever, are shunned. No, I wouldn't say shunned, but just advised not to work with. And I think a lot of the time that is some kind of a preconceived idea or a popular idea of what that deity is, and not looking into their origins or their past. And it's also what that deity is going to help you with. You could be working with a certain deity to help bring those qualities out in yourself. A lot of a lot of people I've noticed when they're getting into witchcraft, into this sort of magical thing and working with a specific deity, they pick very strong, powerful deities, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it shows straight away that you don't feel strong and powerful. So, and it is a generalisation, but it's just one that it's a conclusion that I've come to with the data I've been given. But people who don't feel empowered, and that's another reason why a lot of people pursue witchcraft, because they don't feel that they have power in their own lives. So a good way of doing that would be to pursue witchcraft, because there's power, or perceived power. And so having a strong, powerful, kind of almost scary goddess as their matron, it almost seems like they're saying, don't mess with me because I'll get my big sister on you, and or my big brother, or whatever god or goddess they happen to have picked. Again, what comes to mind is the Morrigan, because the popular face value of that is that she's a tough woman, and she's a warrior goddess. So it's like, I'm gonna beat you up if you say anything or do anything to harm me, because I'm feeling disempowered. So I'm going to have this powerful goddess, having my back, which is good if you're taking it in the fact that the gods are there to help to bring out those qualities within yourself that are underdeveloped. So when you're working with a deity, the qualities that deity embodies are the things that you are seeing lacking in yourself. It's almost like when, again, I'll bring it back to, because it can kind of be like a love relationship. When you are looking and you're finding a person who is going to be your partner, a lot of the times people will find someone who complements them, and in complementing them, it means that they're someone who fills in the gaps. If you are a bit of an introvert, then they're slightly more extrovert, just to help to push you along, help you to get out of your shell. Things like that. They slot into those little areas that you find lacking. So when you're finding a goddess and god, those are the sorts of things that you probably should be looking for. It's someone to work with, someone who is going to help you to become that better person, that better witch, by cultivating and bringing out those qualities. What else? Finding said goddess and god will take time. Just learn to shut up a little bit and let them speak, and they will speak to you. You will find them, and I would also not be too worried about let's see. I would take your time, take my time and find the deity that is right for me. Not the deity that I think I should have because everyone else has that deity, because it's the flavour of the month. Not because I want everyone to be frightened of me, so I'm going to pick something kind of sinister. I'm going to go, I'm going to worship and start working with Set, or start working with some kind of demonic force or whatever it is, because it looks all dark and mysterious, and ultimately you kind of you make people afraid of you, which isn't the ultimate goal of pursuing witchcraft. So I would look into what it is. I wouldn't let ego decide what goddess you should be working with, and I would listen to find out which goddess, which god want to work with you, and I would set up a relationship with them and take my time in that. I wouldn't expect certain things that you find happen with that rapport that happens when you hear about people who have a rapport with a deity and things move off their altar or certain things happen, and that comes from someone who has years and years of a rapport with that deity. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Next, I would also say that you shouldn't be too alarmed if at some point as you travel your path, that the deity you choose at the beginning is not the deity that you have forever. Now this is because, as I said before, deity is ultimately there to help to bring out and foster qualities within yourself. And working with that deity will do that. Now, when that quality has been fostered within yourself, that deity has no purpose anymore. Has nothing to teach you, nothing much more to offer, and it means that that deity will maybe take a back seat, and another deity will make themselves known. Something else that needs to be fostered and worked with. And it doesn't mean that deity will never be around. It just means that they are kind of taking a back seat in the car, and now your co-pilot is going to be another deity. Yeah, I think that might be it. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope that makes it a little bit easier. Just don't put yourself on a timeline. Don't have boxes to tick and say, yeah, so I'm a real witch now because I've got a deity, I've got an altar, I've got some badass robes, I've got an anathema. I'm a witch now. It doesn't work that way, and you take your time and enjoy the process. And when the time's right, deity will speak to you. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.